Medallions of mahi-mahi. That always struck me as, whenever you see the word medallions of on one of these South Beach restaurant menus, that's it. Don't order that. Get a hot dog. Get yourself out of there because you're going to be. It's worse than the old syndrome that used to be the cliche about Chinese restaurants, where you stuff yourself and then a half hour later you're hungry again. Medallions of mahi mahi. I was a place last time I think I actually ate. This is centuries ago already on South Beach. A South Beach restaurant was a place called a fish called Avalon, and I had the medallions of mahi mahi, and you literally needed an electron microscope to see the food that was the main course. The parsley was bigger than the medallions of mahi-mahi. Medallions is another name on a restaurant menu for small.
Yes.
For minuscule. They may as well just be minuscule pieces of fish. That would be the way to describe the dish. But medallions of mahi-mahi, wow, I mean, the elegance, the way the chef prepared. Anybody could prepare like a morsel of fish. It's hard to bloat at. The piece is so small. I mean, unbelievable.
The time. Wake up with Defo. Joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And the holiday season continues. Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Great to be back with you, Jeff DeForest, and the man who was filling in. And wow, rave reviews all over the place. In fact, most of Nassau and even in the Freeport and Exuma, all the Bahamians were talking about is the great job that you, Mike Lubitz, were doing in my absence. As I was cruising around there at Atlantis. And a very interesting trip. Good to be back with you, though. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge going today. Dave Gurggles Gergely going to handle that. And in honor of the prodding, and we've been Svengali'd a little bit by Jim Sarney, I would have to say, former longtime sports writer with the South Florida Sun Sentinel. The guy covered everything. He was dynamite, and he was especially good at covering media. And so I respect his critiques, although he probably is the biggest, most well-rounded sports fan that I have come across in a long, long time. Now, we have a lot of great sports fans out there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be tuned into this show. And you probably, would be happy if, the discussion was, about the mainstream sports. But Sarney covers everything, man, including college lacrosse. I mean, he really gets into it. He's all over this World Cup. But he prodded us into realizing that we have spent 0.0 Blutarski, talking about the University of Miami basketball team. Now, even if the University of Miami basketball team was lousy, we enjoy talking about them because it involves getting an interview with the great coach Jim Larranaga, who I think is an iconic figure in college basketball. I mean, he's done some great, great things. He's taken small schools to the Final Four, came in at the University of Miami. I want to say probably it's been at least a dozen years,
I think
maybe
so.
more. Yeah, and I remember people were railing away. There were certain guys on the air that I remember listening to that have a tendency to flip-flop their position after it turns out that they're dead wrong. And they were screaming, "Oh, my God, can you believe this? A 61-year-old guy." And Jim's got to be in his early 70s now, and he has done a tremendous job keeping a program going under difficult circumstances. And has a hot team working right now, and we'll get into a conversation with Jim Larranaga, which I just dig talking basketball with Larranaga anyway, because he's fantastic. And you hear kind of I always felt this way. I don't know about you, Lubie, that there were many, many life lessons in participating in sports. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, you learn how to get along with people. You learn about people's tendencies. You learn how to play to people's strengths. You learn how to kind of keep people away from their weaknesses. If you're leading a team or a part of a team, you learn how to be a component, even though you may be able to do more. I mean, it's kind of like, look, you don't think John Good Vibes Bonham could have carried a show just by doing a drum solo the entire time? Of course he could. But it wouldn't have worked, right? Because you got Robert Plant, you got Jimmy Page, I mean, you got the rest of Led Zeppelin there. So you want to showcase them, and you learn how to integrate yourself and your skills and sort of capitalize on the things that you do best by working with teams. Always felt, and I've said this before, that I'm glad to see the expansion and the proliferation of women's sports. Sarney also thinks that we're very sexist because we don't talk a lot of women's sports here, but I couldn't have been happier than to see women getting into the sporting world because I felt like they were missing out when I was a kid. You didn't have a lot of women playing sports. The women were off doing something else while we were playing basketball, and I thought, wow, these poor girls don't get a chance to interact like this. Where you're giving it everything that you have, and you're working together, and then you're working against somebody, and you realize how to have sportsmanship and this sort of thing. I always felt that was something, an element that was missing, and the opportunity wasn't there. And if a woman was playing sports, she was a tomboy, a dyke, whatever. I mean, there were all kinds of disparaging things, and assertions being cast her way, like. And you would have respect for the one girl that could actually play a little bit with the guys, but we realized that, hey, I want the girl covering me. That's not the case anymore, right? I don't know that I want to go one-on-one with Diana Taurasi.
No.
What an embarrassment that might turn out to be. Although I think I could score on her. I don't know. Well, how tall is Taurasi? 6'2"? No,
Yeah,
she's
I
not
think she's
that
low
tall.
6. I don't know. I have to look. I think she's low 6.
All right. Well, anyway, you get the point.
Anywho, yes.
Yeah. So it's going to be great. We got prodded into talking to Jim Larranaga. Lubie put the call in. Larranaga is very, very receptive to coming on our shows because we always have a great time. And I will maintain that I'm the only guy in any Jim Larranaga interview in the last 25 years that ever brought up Butch Comives to him. And the connection, of course, is he coached at Bowling Green. Comives was a Bowling Green star, and it turns out, and every guy we mentioned from the distant past, even the most obscure of players, Larranaga has a story about.
Yes.
I don't know. I haven't really given it too much thought because I've been traveling, and then there was an incident there at Atlantis. I don't know. Can I end up owning a piece? Any personal injury attorneys
Oh, you
that view our show?
Not in the water. Didn't you hear yourself in the water? Is that their land? They own like the water?
Well, I mean, should there not have been some kind of warning there, Louie? And I believe there should have been at least a flag or something in that area to indicate that, listen, don't go here. Okay, because almost everybody that walked out into this little beach that they had there in sort of a cove that was roped off, I would say half the people said they had the same experience as me. Maybe not as severe, but they all ended up tripping over these rocks, and you can't see them from the shore. If the tide's a little higher, which it was when I walked in there, you cannot see it. And what's weird, it's Yogi Berra time. It was like deja vu all over again. I could swear, Lubie, this happened to me the last time I was at Atlantis also. Although I don't remember it. I didn't remember it until I was like in the water there, staggering around, trying to figure out how the fuck do I get off these rocks? I was getting banged around like I was Chuck Wepner in the 15th round against Ali. It was really ugly. So, I don't know. Can I end up owning a piece? Anybody out there want to represent me in this case? Here's what happens. We get there on Sunday, and there was a little bit of disappointment for me. Even though I would have to say Atlantis is magnificent. It might be one of the nicest pieces of property in terms of resorts I've ever seen anywhere. It really is magnificent. Just fantastic. We had a comp room at the Cove, which is one of the better sections there. It's even better than the main hotel at Atlantis. Very exclusive. And couldn't have treated us any better. Now, it's very expensive. Everything you do, you fart and you have to pay $10. No cash either. I mean, you can't just dole out cash. So you're constantly either hitting your credit card or a room charge. And we ended up with a very substantial tab at the end of this thing. Fortunately, we were able to cover it, but could have been embarrassing there. I ended up hardly doing any gambling, Lubie. You'll find that surprising.
Really?
Yeah. Because what happened was now they feature in their brochure or any information about the place, website, race and sportsbook. And then they have in the casino a giant sign says race. Now, remember that word, race and sportsbook.
One word race. One race.
No race.
It's not even a race.
This is also true of is it called the Circa? What was that new fancy place they put up downtown Vegas. In Las Vegas? Is it called Circa?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so they have this beautiful sports book with giant screens and everything you could possibly want. You couldn't find a better atmosphere, short of being at the game itself, and maybe even better than being at the game itself, to watch and listen to and view and get the experience of taking in a sporting event. And you can bet on it, of course. But they only do horse racing there, I believe, 4 days a year. And that's at the Circa. They only carry like the Breeders' Cup, Kentucky Derby, and maybe they do the Preakness. They might do the Triple Crown races and the Breeders' Cup. So that's
Okay.
the only time they feature
Or any
simulcast.
bar.
Well, I mean, you could go anywhere else in Las Vegas and bet your brains out
Yeah,
all day long.
still.
Every place has a race book in Las Vegas, pretty much. I don't know of any hotel. You can go into the Dunkin' Donuts and bet the third at Aqueduct. That's what I love about the place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's supposed to be this special sports book. They're worse. Like, you can go to any bar anywhere in Vegas and bet anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's not true in Atlantic City. Atlantic City only has one location. Well, they have a couple, but in Atlantic City itself, you only have one place. They used to have race books and simulcasting, which is my game. I mean, I'm not inclined to go running to the table games in the casino unless I'm winning a bunch of money at the track.
Yeah.
And I don't like machines. I really don't. I don't play slots. I know it's a total waste for me. I never hit on any slot machines. Never. I have made some scores on video poker, but in the long run, I'd be lucky to say if I was even close to even on all the money I've shoveled into video poker machines just to kill time, and never play at the bar, which was the only place they had these video poker machines at Atlantis. So that's rule of thumb number one: never play video poker at the bar because you're going to end up paying $40 for that beer that you got for free. And then on top of that, they didn't comp the drinks if you were playing the machines.
No.
So what good was that? I put $40 in a machine, figuring I'd get a beer out of it, maybe play for a little while. And, the 40 evaporated relatively quickly, and the beer was $10. So anyway, the first day, a harsh discovery that I'm probably not going to be doing much gambling because I walk in, they got football all over the place, and the people are betting, and very efficiently run sports book for betting. They had plenty of people to take your bets. It was no problem if you wanted to get a bet down on a game, which I did throw a couple of bucks on the Chargers on the Sunday night game. And you're getting what? I think we were getting 3 and a hook there.
Nice.
And so, that was relatively easy because the Chargers dominated that game. I'm sure you discussed this at great length in the last couple of days on the show. I saw you had Kajemi on, John Kajemi. Did a little pigskin playbook with John. I'm sure Segredo mentioned it. Tony probably sees a bright light here, and the Dolphins winning out the rest of the way. Is that how he?
He wasn't specific. He was frustrated, and we talked a lot about Buffalo because I had Juice on right before him, OJ McDuffie. So I talked about OJ actually playing in Buffalo. So that led Segredo to telling some Buffalo stories and remembering. And of course, unlike everyone else who hates playing in Buffalo, Tony, who lives in fucking Vermont.
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah. Loves it, and the cold and the people. It just warms your soul. And I was like, what are you talking about? The word warms
your soul? That's the direction he went in that? And Tony's in a holiday spirit, man. He's obviously already nipping at the eggnog there. If you think going to one of those games warms your soul, you're flat out of your fucking mind.
He just talked about, how the fans are great and it's real football in the cold. I'm like, all right, I'm fine with the football.
No, it's just really cold. It really is. Before they built the Carrier Dome for the Syracuse University out there in 1969, I went to a game, Syracuse-Penn State. And, Syracuse had just fallen off in terms of being a football power because Zonka graduated the year before, and that was it. Ben Schwartzwalder, who was the longtime coach, he was there like 50 years. He was as senile as any man that you've ever met in your lifetime. I mean, long gone, right? You would mention like the forward pass to Schwartzwalder, and he literally would look at you like, what's that?
What's that?
I mean, as if you were advocating using your hands to move the ball forward in a soccer game. Like you got to be out of your mind. Well, what forward pass? Who the hell's going to put the ball in the air? You got to be kidding me, man. He had just had Zonka and Floyd Little and Jim Nance and Jim Brown and Ernie Davis.
Yeah.
What need did he have to throw the ball? And then he give 44 to Rich Panzition, a quarterback, going away from the trend there. 5 brilliant running backs that occupied the Syracuse turf there. I mean, people didn't graduate early there or leave early for the NFL. I mean, they went the whole 4 years. Yeah. They played 3 because they had separate teams for freshmen at that time, which was fortunate for me. So I got to play a little college sports. Otherwise, it was probably a no-go. Although I was not on the freshman football team, I can assure you. I wanted no part of that. One look at this guy named John Godbolt, who turned out to be a stiff, and you would have never sniffed anywhere near the football field thing. And if that guy runs into me, it's going to be worse than this experience I had in the water at Atlantis. I have never seen a guy built like this in my life. John Godbolt. You can look him up. He didn't do much, though, in his Q's career because not only could they not throw the ball at that time, but they couldn't run the ball anymore either. But it was so cold in that stadium. I mean, it was cold air in general, a cold and Arctic chill that growing up in New York, you couldn't imagine this was part of the same state.
Exactly.
You really couldn't. You could not imagine that this was part of New York State. From a weather standpoint, if you were in so-called upstate New York, which was Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, and that whole line of cities there, and I guess as you got towards like Albany, it wasn't quite as bad. But when you were in the western part of New York State, beginning in Syracuse, you were fucked when it came to weather. Now they had cement seats. I remember sitting on these cement seats, and it was so cold, Lubie. I mean, you can't imagine. That's no fun. That doesn't warm the heart. That makes you feel like an asshole that you're at the game. You're wondering, why am I even alive? Even if Syracuse had won, it would not have been a pleasant experience, but they were getting drubbed at the same time, like 34 zip, almost on a weekly basis, so it was ugly. I don't know. I dig the games. I like watching them on TV, the games in Buffalo when it's snowing. That's great. Do I want to be there? No.
Oh, no, that's the thing.
I remember Louis Oliver chasing after, the great wide receivers of the Buffalo Bills. Thurman Thomas running through us like Swiss cheese. Those were some really, really tough games. Jim Kelly out-dueling the great Dan Marino. Are you kidding me? Now, from a pure quarterback talent standpoint, I would take Marino over Kelly all day long, even though Kelly was very accomplished and is a deserving Hall of Famer. He's got a great story. He's a great guy. He's a UM guy. So lots of reasons to like Jim Kelly and admire his career. He was slinging it all over the place in the USFL with the Houston Gamblers and had an excellent, brilliant winning career with the Buffalo Bills and Marv Levy. That aside, I mean, we had the better quarterback, and we couldn't do squat against these guys.
Now, there was like a 5-6 year stretch where it was depressing.
Very depressing.
Really depressing.
Those are my memories of the Buffalo Bills. I don't know about. I mean, Tony might be looking at something else. Although we love Tony, I mean, and it's great that he. I mean, how can you not admire a guy that sees the light in everything?
Yeah,
in everything, right? He's not a guy to be complaining, his pizza's cold. He'd be going, wow. I mean, you could taste the cheese better because it's stuck to your tongue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But, I mean, it doesn't bode well for the Miami Dolphins. People are always bringing out those stats about how the Dolphins haven't won a game in 20 years when the temperature was under 40 degrees.
Oh, good.
And it's looking like that's going to be the case. Now, the big fear with this is, are the Dolphins going to make it to 9 wins? Who do we have left? Any stiffs left after this? So this will be 8-6 after this week.
Yes, they're losing this game. Yes, they play the Packers.
3 left.
Home, the Jets at home, and they play the Patriots at New England. All 3 are games that they probably will be favored. And we'll see. I think the 9 wins isn't a question. It's will they get to 10 or 11? That's what's up because they're going to need 10 or 11 to get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
I think your 9 is fine. I think you'll get your 9.
Season up in smoke, but that was a pretty easy win against the Los Angeles Chargers. Wow.
That was good for you.
I mean, 23-17 was the final. It wasn't really that close. It was lopsided, that game.
Yeah,
and once again, the questions about Justin Herbert versus Tua, which are always going to pop up. That comparison's always going to be made, and it's made here on this show quite often. And to tell you the truth, I mean, there was no comparison. Justin Herbert looked brilliant.
Yes.
And Tua, again, second game in a row, all of a sudden can't scratch his own ass with a pass and really looked feeble in this ball game. One of the scores of the 17 points the Dolphins had came on a fluke play with Tyreek Hill picking up that fumble. That had me a little bit disheartened as a bettor. Although it's a real unfortunate inner conflict that you go through if you're a degenerate, because I would like the Dolphins to win. It's a better story for us. I'm rooting for Tua. I like the kid. I thought it was great. McDaniel was a good story this year. Now, it's not to say that this is finished, but right now the trend is somewhat negative, you would have to say. Teams have figured out that we're going to stop the Dolphins in the middle of the field, and then we're going to take our chances with Tua thrown to the outside, which he doesn't do nearly as well. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Your cat can get in the picture. That's okay. Let her in.
I'm not stopping her. I just don't want her getting in front of my face. That's what her favorite thing to do is walk in front. That's something I'm not trying to have.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
I know you do, and Sarni loves it.
It's a nice touch. No, it
Yeah,
really is. It
she's
shows that you have a human side, Lubie,
what is that?
that you actually take care of an animal.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Like they figured it out, I guess, to an extent. Also, Waddle hasn't been the same, Hill hasn't been the same, and Armstead hasn't been the same, and they all seem to happen at the same time. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens when they're healthier. I have
Do
no.
we have 9? Do I hear 9?
I think you get. I think we get 11. I think we win out. That's. I
11.
I'm being,
You think they win out after Buffalo after they lose?
yes, they're going to lose to Buffalo. I just think they're, and I'm not even. I have no faith. I already did a weather report just for shits and giggles. It's not that scary. I still don't think they win. I think you're not going to beat Buffalo twice this year. So I think they'll lose that game, but I could see them winning the last 3. I could see them coming together, winning 2 at home versus the Packers and the Jets. And then the Patriots, they may already have a playoff spot, they may not. And the weather will be a joke, but Jones sucks. So I think they'll win out. That's where I'm at. We'll see how wrong.
I think Belichick is a candidate for Coach of the Year. I really believe that.
In the playoff chase, it's a pretty
Pete
impressive.
Carroll and Belichick are my 2 candidates for Coach of the Year this year. McDaniel might have been in the conversation there, but these 3-game losing streaks, which we're already tagging the Dolphins with another loss, but that would be the second 3-game losing streak. That would leave them at 8-6. It's okay. Still, not bad, right? They may have a better record than Belichick, but Belichick's team was supposed to be garbage this year.
Oh, yeah.
And so was Seattle. So to have a winning record at this point, I think is pretty remarkable. And, Belichick gets the most out of whatever it is that he has on the roster. And if you were going to say that is the ultimate measure of a good coach, then he certainly would be worthy of consideration for that. Although there are teams, the Philadelphia Eagles having an amazing season with the 1 loss and the development of Jalen Hurts, maybe some of that attributable to coaching. But still a lot left to be decided. And you know the cliche, Lubie, and I know you love sporting cliches like all of us do.
I do.
Especially if you're in this business. You have to have a bag full of cliches if you're going to do this stuff for a living. Nothing really matters till you see how a team performs in December.
There you go.
So here we are. We're in December, and we're performing like garbage with this Dolphin team. 2 really bad games in a row against San Francisco and the Chargers. And most people anticipating another punch in the face coming on this one. All right, we're going to get into the trivia challenge in just a few minutes. I did want to have a few observations about going to Nassau. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't have a better time, even though my trip was ultimately turned upside down. The first morning I was there, the second day I was there. No horse racing in the sports book. I could live with that because I thought to myself, you know what? I'll save money. Because I won't. I ended up losing a couple of sticks, just wandering around playing machines. And then I realized I don't do this. Just keep your money in your pocket. Every dime you shovel in here is going to be gone. Why not come back with a little bit of the capital that you left with? I usually leave with a very marginal bankroll, hoping to make a score on the first day. And then, I start crying and fetching and complaining like everybody does. And it's not because I'm a cheap Jew or any of this stuff, but I hate getting whacked with ATM fees that are excessive. $3.50, okay, $4.99, but when they start getting into $6.99 and $9.99 and $14.99, that's when I start thinking, well, where am I? In Chinatown in New York? The fuck? It's crazy. All right, so get up. I do my walk of life. It was beautiful, man. There are hummingbirds. I have never seen more immaculate grounds. This really was. It's Six Flags Atlantis meets Disney World on steroids.
Nice.
That's how I would describe Atlantis. And I didn't get to go on any of the water things. The Mustang did a few because the very first day I was put on injured reserve. In fact, O.J. McDuffie was giving me advice about how to deal with this toe. And, his career famously ended with a bad diagnosis of the turf toe that he had. And he ended up getting, I think, like $13 million in a lawsuit, the Juice, who was on the show with you. And I put a picture up of this toe because it was so enormous.
It looked bad. I'm not going to lie. Like when you said my toes, I think broken, I was like, yeah, whatever, Dave. And then I saw the picture. I'm like,
oh, man, I don't know. It could be. This sucker was throbbing, man. Like, I can't believe it. It's scary, though, when it happens. Okay, so what occurred was this, and they really should. There has to be a personal injury attorney that might be willing to cooperate with me because I did file a little report.
okay,
Because I was, experiencing a lot of pain, and the swelling was enormous, and I thought, well, maybe they have something here that I could take or whatever, an anti-inflammatory. Certainly, they could accommodate me with a bag of ice. Maybe I even juice it with something. I don't know. But there isn't much you can do for a broken toe. I mean, it essentially has to heal itself somewhat. Any doctor will tell you, okay, ice it up, elevate it, take a couple of anti-inflammatories, and good luck, brother. You're going to be walking without a shoe for the next 3 weeks. But anyway, so I'm having a perfect day. I take my walk of life. Beautiful. I mean, I couldn't have had a better course. And you could just walk around the grounds there, not even leave the grounds. And they don't want you leaving the grounds either because, like I said, every drink is $10, $12, maybe even 18 for a Tito's and soda. 18.
Jesus,
what do you think about that?
18.
18.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
And I've got the Mustang with me.
Oh, that's how she drinks. Oh God, are you kidding me?
Chardonnays are 22. Tito's and soda 18. Every time they sat down, it was like $100 tab. It was unbelievable. I'm amazed I got out of there for as little as I did. But and I didn't even bother looking at the bill. It was just like, okay, $1,400 for drinks. They don't have an all-inclusive drink package here. Why don't we just go to Hedonism or one of those places in Jamaica? We would have been far better off.
Exactly.
But they were comping us like a room that had to go for like anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a night. Are the rates on this room. It was spectacular and great views all over the place. Just absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. So I go to the beach after my walk of life. I suck down a calique. And you know me, I'm going in the water, right, Lubie? I'm thinking the water's going to be even warmer here in the Bahamas than it is at home. And I love going in the ocean in December. It's a ritual every Christmas Day. I go right across the street to the beach and make sure I suck up some time in the salt water. All right. So, and look, Lubie, you know me. I go to the beach all the time. I've been going to the beach my whole life. I love the beach. I live right by the beach for a reason. It's a reason I came to Florida. You can go to the beach, 7 days a week, 365 a year. For the most part, it's fantastic. Just the opportunity that you could do it, I think, makes it worthwhile to live in Florida, even if you're like in Plantation somewhere. No, that's a mistake to live out west. I'm firmly convinced of that. Why would you live in Orlando or something? We've talked about this on the show. Yeah. What's the point of being in Florida unless you're going to be near the water or involved somehow in, getting, onto some kind of waterway, whether it's the intercoastal on a boat, the ocean, well, whatever. So, I'm no novice when it comes to this stuff. I mean, body surfing on, West End too there all those years. Laguna Beach, I used to go there and ride the waves. I mean, I kind of know what I'm doing when I go in the ocean and feel very comfortable. People start talking about riptide and all this stuff. I don't even think about it, right? It's like they talk about, it's real rough out there, in Florida waters. It's nothing. Nothing. I mean, there really is rarely a time that I wouldn't go in the ocean. So now, thank God I didn't do one of those things where you go running in there.
Yes.
Oh my God. That could have caused an amputation.
Oh, jeez.
So you know how when you're like sort of halfway knee deep, and you're right by the shore, and then a lot of times there's like a drop off. So now you go from being knee deep to being maybe slightly below your chest in terms of the depth of the water. Mm-hmm. So I get to that point, and what I didn't know is there literally was like a cement wall there of the slickest, sharpest rocks. Right. So as I slide down a little bit, and the water got deeper, I get caught my toe under these, just slick, a wall of rocks.
Oh, I got caught under. Oh, geez.
And it kind of pushed me over, hits my knee and my head while I'm underwater. Now, fortunately, the knee, I thought it was going to be like a bloody mess there. And all of a sudden, sharks would be all over me. But fortunately, that didn't happen, and my head just barely brushed one of the rocks. And I remember when it happened, I thought, wow, that could have really been dangerous.
Oh, God.
But as I, put myself up and pieced myself back together, figuring how am I going to get off these rocks, I realized my toe was completely destroyed. And so that's what you saw. It looks like a bowling pin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's bad. It's like triple the size of your other toe.
I'm thinking Eddie Earthquake Blake, if you wanted to make a sporting analogy. What is the significance of the mention of Eddie Earthquake Blake? We should leave this to Gurggles. No?
Sure.
Yeah. Fine. The trivia question, because didn't Eddie Earthquake Blake? Well, I think he chopped off it. No, that was Tim Bowens chopped off a toe with a lawnmower. But Earthquake Blake, didn't he drop like a weight on his toe, on his foot? And then he was out like, I don't know. He was never the same, but he wasn't that good to begin with, it turns out. But it would have been like if you dropped a bowling ball on your foot. That's how this felt. And that's kind of how the toe looks also. So As we speak, Lubie, I'm ensconced in a bag of ice there on that big toe, hoping to get it to scale down so I can put a shoe on and join you and Mike Mayo down there at Grandpa's later on today. Because I promised somebody I would bring them back a potato knish. And it's a guy that, I'm about to make a little deal with, which I think can enhance our future. Although, always skeptical of these things. But, it sounds good to me on paper. It really does. Kind of like the Dolphins, getting their ninth win
Going into the
sometime this
Chargers,
season.
yeah.
But we'll see. And anyway, hopefully we'll be able to get down there and put a shoe on later on today because right now it's not pleasant. Excuse me. Also nursing a little bit of a cold.
Yeah, it sounds like it. But it was beautiful.
Beautiful time.
It was gorgeous.
I recommend vacation. Yeah. It really was beautiful, I got to say.
I believe you. The pictures were great.
I took one picture. That was it. But very serene. A lot of kids there. And the kids would enjoy it. I don't know. Their parents gambling their brains out at night while these kids are running around the room.
I don't know. I supposedly the water park is actually pretty sick. I didn't realize that. The professor was telling me about when I was telling him where you were. He's like, "Oh, good for him." He's like, "Yeah, the water park is amazing."
Oh, it is. I didn't get a chance to work it because the first day I'm injured, went on IR. But you can ride these rafts all the way around the thing and see everything.
Oh,
Sharks and sea lions. They got everything going there. It's really quite an experience. And as I said, not cheap, not for the faint of heart, but a lot of little kids there. Now, what's the deal with this? I mean, if they're giving away towels, and you can go and request any number of towels, why do people feel that they need to have 10 towels? Really, like they're wrapping a fighter up. It looked like the Riddick Bowe fight with the Fan Man. Where they had to wrap the two fighters up, with towels. What was that, Bo Holyfield? Yeah, Bo Holyfield. Because they were sitting in like 30-degree temperatures for 20 minutes while they cleared this asshole out of the ring.
God.
But, I mean, why do people do that? Why do they hoard towels? It's not like they're stealing them. Because you didn't have to even throw the towels into like a bin or anything when you were done. You just left them on the chairs. That was one of the considerations there. But every guy I'm looking at is walking around with like 12 towels. Is it just because they're available?
It was the one freebie, so they're like, "I'm gonna get them for the towels." Ah.
A lot of supervisors in the Bahamas. Have you noticed that? Ever when you're down there?
I never stayed in a place like that. We just
like there's one guy working a bar, but there are 6 supervisors who have to discuss things at great length before anything happens. A lot of supervisors. Everybody's hustling there too. I mean, the hustle is on from the time you step off the plane there, and then one guy has to go to another guy, who goes to another guy, who goes to another guy, and then that guy can get you a cab. I mean, the chain of command in the Bahamas is very strange. A lot of guys seem to be standing around doing absolutely nothing and making no real visible or viable contribution to whatever the process is that you're trying to accomplish, like getting a taxi cab. But, this guy goes over to that guy, and he says a couple of things, and then he gives him a couple of dollars, and then this guy goes over here, and somebody else comes, and then you can never get an accurate price. There are no meters in the cabs, and you'll ask the guy just, to try and get some kind of idea whether you're getting ripped off or not. Hey, how much is it going to cost to go to the airport? And the guy says 50, and then when you get there, it's like 78. What are you going to do? You're already there, right?
Yes.
Unbelievable. So, that was weird. I mean, a lot of supervisors and a big-time chain of command where it seems like most of the people that are the go-betweens have zero power to actually get anything done. But they are a part of the process somehow. How does that work? Do they all get greased? I mean, how does that work? They can't all share the wealth, can they?
No. They're probably getting massively underpaid, but they need to work desperately.
Yeah. No, it's really, really weird how that goes. But, yeah, a lot of supervision there. And then, the local restaurants were great. Mayo would have loved it.
So you did? Oh, wow. Good for you. Nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole area there where they have like a fish fry type of thing going where conch is big and really good. I'd have to say that was my favorite aspect of the whole thing. Once I was knocked out of doing anything that would remotely resemble any fun that we were paying premium dollars to be a part of. I would have gone on one of those water rides. That would have been fun. I don't know about the slide or any of that stuff. definitely would have liked to have seen the Sharks. But the worst part of the whole trip then occurred last night as I'm coming back, and my foot is like, kind of destroyed. That's when I took that picture of the big toe there. And, I mean, it really was. It's 4 times the size of what it normally is. And so I'm wearing a pair of flip-flops, and I guess that the long walk, and this was the thing that was troubling to me. I mean, do you ever want to be the guy at the airport that everybody's staring at because you have wheelchair assistance, but you look fine? But you look fine.
Oh, no.
Because, I mean, as a practical matter, it would have been better for me not to be walking at all on that toe.
Yes. Yep.
But, I mean, can you really,
Right.
ask somebody? I could have shown them the toe, too, because I was wearing a pair of flip-flops. So I didn't want to put anything on it and have any pressure on this thing. And so anybody could see that, okay, you might need wheelchair assistance, but can you bring yourself to do it?
After you've been the man to count the number of wheelchairs
I've been, ripping this concept forever, including at Disney World, where the phonies would line up there and rent a wheelchair so they could get to the front of the line and then sprint to the ride once they got off the, got to the priority section there and went right through. Okay, Joe, hey, everybody. Right? The guy all of a sudden, he's running like Usain Bolt, right? I used to use Houston McTeer as my sprinting reference. But does anybody remember Houston McTeer? Remember that guy, man? He was fucking fast. He was great. Yeah, because we would be talking about like Barnaby Jones or something, where like a 90-year-old detective somehow outruns a guy with the blazing speed of a Houston McTeer. Bolt would probably be more recognizable to the people. Yes. All right. But anyway, it was a good time, and I'm here. I made it. When would I ever go on a casino outing and barely gamble? I think if I gambled for an hour in the 3 days, that would be a lot.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, no, it wasn't interesting. It took all the fun out of it.
That's a little garbage.
This is nice. I could have done that at home. What are you talking about? Drinks would have been cheaper. That's for sure. All right. I don't know if we'll be invited back. I think the Mustang, unless she, had some secret cash. I mean, she went through her bankroll the first day, and I didn't hear her talking about any wins. That's for sure. So and she started talking to me about, how money's getting a little tight. Why don't we do something? Like get another job.
Yeah, exactly.
Which may happen today. I'm hoping it happens today, Lubie. I'm looking forward to that aspect of things. And that'll expand the horizons for everybody, including you. So let's hope that goes well and it's actually not fugazi, which often is the case whenever you're involved with a new public company. Right? I think their real mission, though, is to sell knishes, these guys. That's why I want to get this knish from Grandpa's. Present it to the guy and say, hey, there you go. We're on the same page. All right. Dave Gurggles Gergely has the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge later. There he is. Dave Gurggles Gergely, whose advice was play the pass line. And that might have been, fortuitous advice. I was watching one of the crap games. They really only had one table working, but the guys seemed to be doing pretty well. And did you ever notice, Dave? How are you, by the way, David Gurggles Gergely? You doing all right?
Doing fine. Yeah, we're quite busy over here. So, I heard you speak, and you did your best, Norm Crosby, about the potential deal today when you said, well, it sounds good on paper. I'm thinking, wow, I can use that.
Looks good on paper, I guess, would be the appropriate way to put it, yeah. Well, I mean, and it would be beneficial, obviously, for you as your participation in the and really conducting the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Hopefully, it'll work for all of us. Well, let's hope that. Yeah, usually it only works out for me, and you guys get left out in the fucking cold. But no, hopefully it'll work out for all of us. We really want to carry everybody out the door in good fashion, and then what would be better, honestly, than constantly setting up in various casinos around the world and doing shows. It would be absolutely an amazing thing if we can pull this off. Because it was. Have you been to Atlantis at any time?
I have. We ran a golf tournament, and part of the golf tournament was after we played locally, we took a plane to Atlantis and played a round over there as well. And I emceed it. That was probably 25 years ago, but it's quite a place. Yeah, definitely. Back then, I think Tito's was probably $8, so it wasn't too bad.
Back then, Tito's was probably a figment of the
wasn't even invented.
Yeah, Tito's imagination. Is a guy named Tito that started Tito's? I don't think so. No.
I don't know. Austin, Texas. I don't think so. No.
No, it doesn't sound like it. No. Anyway, so you're doing well. How's everything in your world? Good?
Terrific. Just saw Glenn Rice and Eric Compton at a tournament this week for the famous Alex's Lemonade Stand that they started for a little kid for cancer out at Grand Oaks, home of the Caddy Shack.
Yeah.
And when you talk about your toe, on my left foot, I have 3 toes that are still black and blue from driving a golf cart and have my left foot hanging out of the cart, trying to pass another cart and hitting the wall with those. So, but no pain, not broken, but there's still a little, I wouldn't wear sandals. They'd be a little disfigured there. But so I know what you went through.
Oh, yeah. This just happened.
Oh, no, it happened. And they're still like black and blue, like the blood is in there. But
oh, wow.
I'm not going to do anything about it. They don't hurt. No problem.
Yeah, I wish that was the case. There's a little bit of pain and vomit here. And, I'm going to try and play through it. That's for sure. Too much to do and too much to accomplish. But you ever notice sometimes you go by a craps table, and everybody's partying, right? They're high-fiving, laughing. Nobody's even paying attention. Here comes another. Oh, look at that. Hard eight. Everybody's on it, right? I got 50 on it. I got 30. I got 25. And stacks of chips in the, little, what would you call that thing? The rack, right? Stacks of chips. And then you're looking going, my God, that guy's got more than my net worth just sitting there in that one little rack. What kind of luck are these guys having? And then, you maybe go do something. You come back a half hour later and everybody's depressed. They're all empty. It's incredible, right? It's just destroyed. I mean, eventually they're going to get to you. So, quitting while you're ahead is not the same as quitting. That's right out of American Gangster. All right, we're going to get into
Or what's even worse, if you're on a boat and one table is really hot and you can't squeeze in and you go to the other one and get 7 out is all you hear. But we won't go there.
I still remember the pale look on your face. I don't know that the blood ever returned to your face from that experience. Now, that was arbitrary luck, and I had the good fortune of landing at the good table. With the Dice SWAT team, which you talk about pale-faced. I don't think that boat survived that trip. Right, they were out of business. It was like Casino Princessa or something. Remember, out of Miami.
Exactly. Yep.
And within a week, they didn't sail out of Miami anymore, and there were no more ships going out. Yeah, that was it. Because these guys took them down. They had to win like 60,000 that night. 4 or 5 guys. Wow. I mean, they all walked out of there with piles of cash. And you were at a table, man. Wow, what a stiff that was, huh? All we heard, from that side of the room was 7 out, line away. You're like, what do you mean? 7? Another 7? So that can happen, though. Dice are only hot for a short period of time. You know that. Very short.
I know I was in trouble when the croupier had a Low Hanks shirt. So I figured I was in trouble.
When he didn't even have a stick, he had a rake. Literally a rake. Just raking the chips right off of the table. All right, we're going to have the trivia challenge. The number to call, 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Gurggles said play the pass line. That would have worked if I had joined in that game and played the pass line because the guy made a few points. But I'm not really a pass line player. I honestly don't care about the pass line, even though everybody says that's where you make your money, pass line and maximum odds. But I have no luck with that because whenever I play the pass line, the guy 7's out like immediately on the first roll. He rolls a 6, and then he throws a 7. 1 roll out. Okay, and you're thinking, are there any hookers here? Anything? I got to find some way to kill the next couple hours because I'm out of money. And Andy says play the don'ts, but it's insulting to play the don'ts, isn't it? For the other people at the table that are looking to party, and here comes some schmuck, and you got to go 1 to 2 on the odds on the don'ts. So that tells you all you need to know about the likelihood. That the guy's going to make any points because you're laying like an incredible price, right? You wouldn't bet a 1 to 2 shot at the track. No. I've never seen you do that, unless you're keying him on top of something. But it's always ugly, right? Like you're looking at that one guy and he's rooting for the 7. Everybody else is rooting for anything but. It's kind of a weird. I could see you doing that though, Gurggles. That you would be the contrarian.
No, not there. I'm the guy that stares at him with everybody else too. Yeah, I'm more involved in the pep rally side of it.
People hate that guy.
No, I wouldn't be a don't. Yeah, exactly.
You can't wait for that guy to lose his money. If you ever were looking for a guy to lose his money, it's the guy that plays the don't line don't pass line while you're up there, loaded in, stacked in on every number. And you're thinking, if this fucker wins, I'm screwed, right? So
that's right.
that's it. All right, 954-417-0070 if you want to play the game. We'll get into it in just a few minutes. Hialeah Park, wow. For the holidays, I mean, people are making big scores there. Slots are a lot looser than they were at Atlantis, I can assure you, based on the Mustangs' negative slot play quotient. But wow, always a good party and always a holiday spirit there that I think is unparalleled in any festive casino atmosphere. Hialeah Park. I just love the way they operate. It's a fantastic place.
Yeah, and I saw Frankie Fiore. I think he's got some big things coming up. Maybe
Boxing.
a little more boxing. Maybe another handicapping tournament like the last one he had. So they got big plans out there. And in the meantime, turf racing has come back to South Florida. Go to Hialeah Park. You can bet it right there. The only thing you have to be careful of is they're having a little problem with the flamingos leaving at nighttime on the news.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I did
There's
see
some
that.
foxes that have been coming out after the flamingos, and the flamingos have been flying down to Miami Springs for some reason. But they're back. Hialeah is better than ever. The food, drink is terrific. Our good friend that years ago, before Paulie, I think, dated the Marty girl, the food and beverage guy, did a great job for Larry Little. But you can go there and just get an omelet or a great sandwich, and then bet your heart's delight on simulcasting, and then go over to the casino. And the poker room, I think your son would do very well in.
Yeah, no, he's a good poker player. I don't know why he doesn't do that why does he want to go legit? He really doesn't, actually. But I guess with the two kids, it's probably going to be a tough thing to lay on his wife, Kelly. That I'm bagging my six-figure job here as a CPA, and I'm going to play poker for a living. Nice. Well, if you can make money every time, though, Gurgs, I mean, I guess you can't always win, no matter how good you are.
That's
but
the case.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with the way the Jess is operating. A good steady job, have that as a side where there's no pressure and just play free. I think he's doing the right thing for him and his family.
Yeah, he doesn't play as much as he should. I wish he would enter some bigger events. I've never seen him. He almost always wins. The kid's unbelievable. So we'll see what happens. I got to get him on my Mayo circuit there, where Mayo's buddies are all winning like 30,000 every week. Wow. I mean, they're always making five-figure scores, and then poor Mike is still lamenting the fact that he's never the guy, and that's a terrible feeling sometimes too, isn't it? I mean, where one of your buddies has to throw you a stick out of sympathy, just because you've been losing every time you go to the track, and they're all making giant scores, right? You forgot to get in on the company pick five there, the cumulative pick five. And so you're the only guy that didn't ante up to $30, and everybody else is carving up 27,000. Unbelievable. All right, we'll come back. Hialeah Park, great place to go. I mean, betting the ponies, fantastic. Poker room, great. Great Vegas style games. A lot of people winning big jackpots on the slot machines there. And as Gurgle said, big events coming up as well. All right, coming back with more with Dave Gurggles Gergely, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, Jim Larranaga later on in the program. So going to be a lot of fun today. Going to be back with you. That's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. Dave Gurggles Gergely, 954-417-0070 on the phone lines, and we'll continue with more in a moment here on the Defo Show. Now that
the time,
it's 7:49. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, And that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to be with you here, and good to be back in town and getting things started here as we really sort of cruise in on the heavy part of the holiday season and the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. We have Dave Gurggles Gergely ready to go with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. There'll be a Landlubber's gift certificate to be given away. Lubie, I would imagine that you're going to be out in force again tonight at Landlubbers in Sunrise.
Yes, tonight, this evening, 6:30, we'll be out there. Come check us out.
Okay, it's you and the professor.
Yes.
And, of course, the Chronics will be part of that, and many other fine people that tune into the show. So good to see you guys are all gathering live and in person. And right there at Landlubber is a great, great place to not only watch sports and dine and drink, but a great atmosphere as well. And, reasonable prices in a time where, heck, I think I saw it, Mayo's obsession with egg prices at Publix. $8 for a dozen eggs. $8. Wow, that's crazy. You look as stunned as the average degenerate does before he checks out there, Libby. And sees how much money he lost lifetime.
I was like, $4. $8.
Face looked like the one on the King Crimson album, In the Court of the Crimson King. All right, Gergs, we heard from the Polyman there, and Polyman, I think, going to return as part of this new package here as well with the Geezers at Caesars
Beautiful
program that we're going to do. Although, always suspect and subject to, further notice. But nonetheless, we want to dedicate this game always, as always, to our good friend, the Polyman, creator of the game. And started out what? In the traditional fashion, with Dave Gurggles Gergely, honoring the Polyman with some
easy baseball. This rather eccentric pitcher on his time in baseball said, excuse me, I believed in drug testing a long time ago. As a matter of fact, all through the 60s, I tested everything. Was that Bill Lee, Stan Lee, Lee Leonard, or Peter Leonard?
You became friends with Bill Lee, did you not, the spaceman?
Yeah, really good guy. Really good guy.
And what, he checked out recently, did he not? The spaceman? I want to say dead or alive?
Bill Lee's still around.
Oh, he is? Okay.
He's alive. Oh, yeah.
What about Will Lee, the guy that used to be the bass player in the David Letterman band?
I don't know.
Around. Yeah. Lee Smith. Okay. Here's Ron, ready to go. The Random Phone Scrambler selects Ron. Ron, how are you?
Good morning, fellas. Good. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Doing well.
Gurggles, we'll be there. We'll be there tonight. Chronics will be there. You should come on out and join us.
Well, good for you. We'll see. Maybe I might make an appearance. We'll see. Lenny promised me some Hanukkah gifts. Okay.
Very nice. All right, you have 1 point, Ron. You're in the game.
All right, golf, Ron. True or false? Believe it or not, actor Matthew McConaughey is quite a good golfer and has had 4 career hole-in-ones. True or false?
Let's go true.
I'm going to go true.
It is true.
Nice.
It is true. Well done.
That's more than a lot of professional golfers, I would imagine. I mean,
it's true.
No matter how great you are at the game, I mean, it's hard to have that thing, drop into the hole there unless you're standing right over it. But, yeah, McConaughey, I've seen him being interviewed out on golf courses, as part of whatever. Faraday had a thing with him, David Faraday. He's a big golfer. All right, 2 for 2, going for 5.
All right, Ron, we still got the World Cup going on. Let's see what you can do with this one. What country was the first to wear names on the back of their shirts at the World Cup finals? Is that France, Argentina, Germany, or England?
Let's go with Argentina.
That's what I would have said. England, though. It's
Believe it or not, England.
Yeah.
It is England. That's right.
That was my second choice. Unfortunately, it was also Ron's. So he has 2 going for 7 to set the pace here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
All right, Ron. Football. California, the state of California, has produced the most NFL Hall of Famers with 32.
Oh, wow.
Which state ranks second with 27 Hall of Famers?
All right.
Texas, Pennsylvania, Illinois, or Florida?
Ooh, tough
one. Well, I'm going to go with Texas.
I'm going to go with Pennsylvania, being as Dave
Pennsylvania, that's right.
All right, very good.
And Namath and Kelly, and Marino, very good.
Yeah, tough sons of guns there. And they can play in the cold weather, which the Miami Dolphins unfortunately cannot. And that stat, I would imagine Mark Lawrence will be all over that cold weather stat. Do you buy into that? Where a team hasn't won a game, when the temperature's been under 40 degrees since like 1973, that it's a trend that will continue, or do you think it's just arbitrary bad luck?
I think there's some trends to it. I really do.
Yeah.
I told some people Sunday I thought San Diego would beat the Dolphins, and last week on this show, if you remember, my Perdomo selection was the Thursday night game under.
Oh, yeah.
17-16 last week. Yeah. So
very good. Yeah, that was a wild game with Baker
Mayfield
Mayfield making the comeback. I was
that's right.
I was so happy that they got that one touchdown with about 3 minutes to go, because it set up a situation where getting 6.5 with the Rams, I was in a favorable position. But then I never expected that they would come back and win the game when they got the ball. About a minute and change, and they ended up going 98 yards. That was pretty impressive. All right, going to continue here. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Dave Gurggles Gergely has the questions. We're ready for set number 2, and here's Dave.
Golf. This fabled sports writer on the game of golf and his philosophy said, golf is a game where the ball always lies poorly and the player always lies well. What's that? The infamous Dan Jenkins, Dan Rather, Dan Devine, or Andy Devine?
Great line, man. So spin the scrambler there, Lubie, and we'll determine our next player. And we have Mike. Mike, it lands on you, the random phone scrambler. Welcome to the show. You're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Hey is correct. Came in strong with that one. You have 1 point. You're in the game.
And Mike, let's stick with golf. Believe it or not, golf great Billy Casper turned pro during the Korean War while serving in the Navy, and his job during the Korean War was to build golf driving ranges for the Navy in the San Diego area. True or false?
False.
That sounds true.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That is
All
true,
right.
yep.
Very good. All right, Mike, one going for 4.
All right, Mike, got another World Cup question for you. What is the only nation to win both the men's and women's World Cup championship? France, England, Hungary, or Germany?
Wow. Men's and women's.
Hungary.
I'm going to go Germany.
No, that's my background. Germany. Hungary won 1950, but not the women's. Germany, as a matter of fact. Well done.
Overwhelming, impressive soccer knowledge here with Dave Gurggles Gergely. That's fantastic. And you realize, of course, that this whole World Cup has been fixed, and it's all a setup for Messi. I mean, can you see the writing on the wall with this? My Croats got completely screwed there. How many penalty kicks can they give this guy? Come on. Every time I tune on a game there's Messi standing there in front of the goalie, the poor guy with a blindfold and a last drag on a cigarette. And he doesn't even kick the ball hard. Yeah.
I was waiting for Morocco and a guy to score a hat trick so we could see Sidney Greenstreet throwing fezzes out from the stands. But that didn't happen either.
When I was working in that Moroccan restaurant, I had to wear a fez, a little red outfit with gold buttons, and pointy yellow shoes. So, people didn't know whether to order a drink from me or figure they were watching a match with the Iron Sheik. It was crazy. All right, what do we got? 3-point question coming up?
5-point question
coming up.
5 points.
All right.
All right, let's switch to American football. When Dan Marino threw for 48 touchdowns in 1984, he broke the record of 36 touchdowns passing in a season set by Jim Kelly, Terry Bradshaw, John Hadle, or Y.A. Tittle.
John Hadle.
Hadle.
No, believe it or not, we had to go back 21 years to Herbert and Abraham Tittle said it. 63.
I knew if you were throwing YA in there was a good chance he was the answer. So you also, in addition to having knowledge, you have to be able to sort of psychoanalyze Gurggles and see if you can pick up on something there. And then he'll throw you off. He'll make it look like, hey, this had to be made up. And then boom, it's true. All right, we're going to come back with more. We'll play some more people. Dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. I'm not sure if he's a cigar smoker, but if he was, I would imagine Jim Larranaga, who's going to join us later on, would have had many reasons to light up a big, fat Perdomo Red Auerbach Victory cigar this year. I believe the team's off to like an 8-1 start, 8-2, something like that. Probably should figure that out before he comes on the show. But Perdomo cigars, Gurggles, always a hit, always a home run.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Perdomo cigars prices are very, very reasonable. The inflation hasn't impacted them like it has everyone else. Why? Because Nick owns his own farm. It goes Cuban seed tobacco grown in Nicaragua. They make them perfect one at a time. 305-627-6700, the number to call. Monday through Friday, and get them now for the holidays coming up at 5150 Northwest 167th Street. You'll see the big Perdomo cigar sign on the south side, heading east to west or west to east, doesn't matter. Go in there, see Nick, see his son Nick Jr. It's a 4th generation now, and Nick's about to be a grandfather. He already is with his lovely daughter Natalie, and Nick Jr. and Lauren are pregnant with their first too. So even though they have got cigars coming to celebrate birth, you can celebrate with a great Perdomo cigar today. If you're not sure and you want to get one over the weekend, no problem. Go online, www.perdomocigars.com, find the retailer that's near you. So this weekend, when you're celebrating whatever you want to celebrate, and you want to get a gift, you can buy a gift card. You can buy a humidor, whatever you want. Nothing could be better during the holidays than a Perdomo cigar.
Well said, Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. All right, going to come back with more. Dial us up if you want to play. We'll play a few more people, and then Jim Larranaga going to join us here on the show. So a lot of fun on this Thursday. Lubie's taking your calls at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. And we'll continue with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on this fine holiday Thursday, right? Doesn't it feel like it's Christmas week already? I don't know. Are you there yet, Gurggles? With that feeling?
Oh, we have our Christmas party here at the golf course today. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
So we got Secret Santas. You got to spend $25. So I don't know if they'll go for it, but I gave them 5 losing $5 lottery tickets just so they can write their name on the back and send it in. I don't know if that'll work, but we'll try it. Why not?
Nice stack of losing tickets from punching away in Hialeah Park. That'd be great. All right, coming back with more. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge here on the Defo Show on South Florida Live in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:04.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
This is hard to do, and I've often mentioned this, my personal bookmaking ventures with my longtime friend Francesco, who, I don't know. He's more of a soccer guy, obviously, than a football guy. I'm not sure who he had. We went up in flames with Croatia, which, as Gurggles, did you see any of that game? That was truly, the fix was in there, right?
Well, I saw the first Croatian game, and that goalie stood on his head. I thought, wow, if anybody could stop a powerful team, it would be Croatia, but apparently not. Yeah.
No, not when they award Messi a penalty kick before he even gets off the bus.
It wasn't about. You didn't even see what happened. I actually watched the game.
Oh, yeah?
He was dominant. Yeah, it was the one game that I was like, dang, I wish Defo watched this game. He would actually enjoy. Argentina throttled them. It wasn't even close. Like Argentina possessed the ball pretty much the entire match, shot the ball at the net pretty much the entire match. Croatia never did anything the entire match. Yeah, and it wasn't Messi. The goalie, a guy had a free run at the goal. The goalie took him out. And that's why the PK happened. Messi was the one that they had to kick it because he's freaking ridiculous. It wasn't.
He dribbles the ball up there. What are you talking about? They concede these goals to Messi. I think there's a big fix in there. People thought there was a conspiracy. This poor, soccer journalist who died. Turned out he just happened to roll a 7, right?
Yeah,
but everybody thought it was because he was wearing a pro-gay shirt or LGBTQT. I don't know. I don't want to get a jackpot here.
In honor of,
and I didn't know much about him, before I saw him in these, on these news stories, and I thought, wow, he's a very respectable guy. And the next thing you know, he checks out mysteriously, and you're thinking, Khashoggi all over again, right?
Yeah.
What the hell is this? But turned out not to be true, and everybody jumped to a lot of conclusions there on social media, and had the people from Qatar perhaps involved in a very heinous and dastardly, piece of retribution there for this guy insulting them, or so supposedly so. But Croatia and Morocco going out, that was it for me. That's it. I won't watch the final. I wouldn't watch it anyway. So there's my editorial stance, Gurggles, on the World Cup. Hey, you know what the good thing about it is? It's not for another 4 years that we have to. And by then, I probably would be too senile to even think about whether I care about this game or not. I'll probably end up watching it right in the nursing home with the other guys. Hey, did you see that? You kicked it right back to the goalie.
It's going to be in the Americas. And,
that's right.
So
Want to go to a game?
Right
Let's
here,
go to a game.
Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. Yeah.
It will be a sight. Yes. Miami.
That's what we should do. We should get a bunch of tickets and scalp them outside the soccer game. Make a ton of capital on this off these fools that like the sport, right? You could buy the tickets at face and probably sell them for 10 times that, especially if, Brazil or Argentina is involved. All right, let's continue with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Jim Larranaga, 10-1, it turns out. I remember seeing him 8-1, and they just beat NC State. They have a couple of big games coming up, including Virginia. I believe that's on December 20th. So he's going to join us, and it's always a hoot talking basketball. You love basketball like I do, Gurggles. And,
yes.
You were people don't realize this. Gurggles, an accomplished Willie Mosconi-esque trick shot artist, right? He was Steve Miserak with a basketball. Dave Gurggles Gergely, take foul shots, offhanded from his knees and make them like he was Calvin Murphy. Incredible. So, it's a treasure chest talking to Jim Larranaga. Absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so we'll get into that. And that's sort of along the lines of trivia because we always take Jim back into the distant past every time we talk to him. And people say, hey, what about this year's team? And, we don't know anything about it, so why would we ask him any questions about it? No, we'll figure it out by the time it comes on the show. All right, let's get into our next set of questions here. We're trying to crown a champion, nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here's Dave.
And why not? Soccer. This soccer great describing it said, football is a game in which a handful of fit men run around for 2.5 hours, watched by millions of people who could really use the exercise. What's that?
That's
the
a
late
poly,
great
man.
George Best, George Goebel, George Katz, George Costanza, or Phyllis George?
Oh, nice choices there. That makes it a little more difficult. Here's a scrambler, and our good friend Pat, Long Island Pat, man. How are you, Pat Fox?
Josh, how about A?
A's correct. Good job, my friend. Any big
done,
acting
Pat.
things coming up? Any feature films, Pat? What's going on with your career?
Well, I just got back from New York. I worked on New Amsterdam a couple days.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Very good.
There's some rumor, Pat, that you're going to play an American soccer player who during a game gets hit 3 times and doesn't fall and grab his ankle. Now, that would be an Academy Award.
Yeah. We should run those soccer
All right.
guys over those rocks at Atlantis and see how they feel. That'll show them what pain really is all about there. Yeah.
All right, 1-pointer. True or false?
Be careful out there.
Sports gambling, Pat. Nick Bogdanovich of William Hill Bookmakers during the pandemic said even though most of the betting action was on the UFC, the close second was Russian table tennis. True or false?
That sounds so crazy. I'll say it's true.
It's true?
Wow. It was true back then. That's where the betting action was, believe it or not.
How on the level do you figure Russian table tennis was?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question there.
Still, I mean, the worst trade, with all due respect to, the sensitivities involved here, but worst trade in basketball history since, I don't know, well, Kareem going to the Lakers for Junior Bridgman, Brian Winters, and Dave Myers. What do you think? Joe Barry Carroll, Kevin McHale trade, where they also got the Chief.
Wilt Chamberlain for Archie Clark and a big stiff center and somebody else. Yeah.
Like Daryl Imhoff. Yeah.
Daryl Imhoff. That's right. Yeah.
All right.
Dave
Very good.
Gamby, I think. Whatever. All right.
Pat,
3-point question. Speaking of trades, football. Who did the Packers trade to Houston to acquire Lynn Dickey in 1976?
Wow.
Was it Grabowski, Booth Lustig, Scott Hunter, or John Hadle?
Scott Hunter.
No, believe it or not, it was
I'm
John
gonna go
Hadle.
Grabowski. Hadle, yeah.
No, much travel. John Hadle. Grabowski was the first pick of the Dolphins ever, but he never signed there. All right, that was your 3-pointer.
Yep.
Going for 7. Yeah, here we go.
I actually said a good
5-point question. We'll go to the AFL, which we normally say for Lenny, but we're going to include you in this one. Who is the only receiver in AFL history to catch over 100 passes in a single season? What's that?
Right.
Lance Allworth, Lionel Taylor, Charlie Hennigan, or Fred Biletnikoff?
Wow. Tough choices.
Fred Biletnikoff.
That's what I would have said.
That's a great guess. No, believe it or not, my favorite team back then, Charlie Hennigan of the Houston Oilers, 101 and 64.
Wow.
Tough draw, Pat.
All right, this is looking very Dean Wormer-esque here on the show. 0.0 so far. Nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals. We'll try and get another player in. If you want to dial us up at 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Frankie, very excited about the boxing. I know that. And I saw a couple of the guys that are going to be on the card in a previous matchup. Leon Margulies and, of course, Louis DeCuba is going to be putting on the show here. And there was one kid that really, really looked great. I mean, very, very promising young Cuban prospect. I think he's going to be fighting there. And I'm not sure what nationality this guy was. Might have been like Hungarian. But anyway, a real good fighter. Top notch. Technically, I mean, as sound as I've seen a guy. I don't know that he had the big knockout power, but he's also going to be featured. He's like 17-0, so a lot of big prospects on the card coming up in February.
I would say anybody who couldn't afford to go to the big fights during the 70s, 80s, 90s, but still likes boxing, this is a great bang for your buck, no pun intended, because you're just right on top of the action, and it's what an atmosphere it is. It's a terrific venue for boxing.
Well, and there's really no comparison. I mean, I can still enjoy watching hockey on TV, but going there live, it's a totally different story.
Oh,
and
that's a good comparison.
I would have to say, obviously, most of the boxing that I've seen has been on TV because it's on quite a bit, but throughout my lifetime. But when it's live, I mean, it's night and day. Lubie discovered that because he had never been to a match before he went down to Hialeah Park. And then, when you're that close to the action, no matter what kind of seat you have, you're going to be right on top of the action. It's great. So they have the graduated grandstand there, and that kind of, almost hovers over the ring. You would think you were at the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia. That's the kind of. Did you ever go see fights there? I mean, that was one of those places I always wanted to go to. I never had the chance to go. Fabled boxing arena. I love the kind of old boxing feel, and you get that, but it's outside. So it's, doubly magnificent at Hialeah Park. Just absolutely fantastic. So anyway, check it out. Check out the calendar of events, and I'm sure they have a lot of big things going on for the holidays. It's all happening at beautiful Hialeah Park. Right, we're going to go to the finals in deference to the fact that we have Jim Larranaga coming up here, and probably because we don't have another player on hold. Is that part of the?
We have more players, but Coach L has to change his schedule around. And
he's going to come on at 8:20. All right, let's get right to it.
Good idea.
Okay, we're going to the rules you guys are aware of, and the finals are set with Ron and Pat. Here we go. Gurggles, fire off the question.
All right, guys. Good luck. Last World Cup question I'll probably give: who is the only person, European actually, to win the World Cup as a player and a coach? Who was the only European to win the World Cup as a player and a coach?
Here are the choices.
All right. Is that Hugo Ditfach, Douglas Valiente, Franz Beckenbauer, or Werner Klemper?
Wow. Is Werner Klemper in Hogan's Heroes? Who's answering?
1 second. Sorry. 1 second. I have a nice long clock here.
Okay.
There you go. What happened?
Things that went through there. I had to put him in the system.
All right.
It's, of course, taking a second, obviously, right now.
If you want, I can give a different question if you
They're
think
there.
they might
They're
want
there. No, they're there.
Okay. All right. Question one more time.
Repeat it for you guys. Who's the only European to win the World Cup as a player and a coach? Hugo Ditfach, Douglas Valiente, Franz Beckenbauer, or Werner Klemper?
Pat.
C?
That's correct. Franz Beckenbauer. That's right.
Wow. Nice shot.
And you sniffed it out. Defo. Werner Klemper was Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes, who was also a famed musician. Valiente and Hugo Ditfach, both jockeys. Hugo Ditfach many years ago. That's it.
I almost went with Ditfach just because the name was so weird. All right, Gurggles, excellent job, man. We would have gone a little further with that, but you'll be lighting up some Perdomo cigars, and we'll do it again next week. We thank you as always for coming on the program here and being a part of it. And I'll have some news maybe later on today. When you talk to the coach, when you talk to the coach, ask him while he's growing up if you ever had a chance to see any of the Eastern Basketball Association, the EBL, Eastern Basketball League. There's a great book out called Boxed Out of the NBA. These are players like Bill Spivey and others that did point shaving, ended up in the old Eastern League back in Binghamton, New York, and Pennsylvania. But plenty of other things to ask. Gentlemen, we'll see you next week. All right, excellent job. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to keep it right here and anticipate Jim Larranaga had to push his schedule up a little bit here and was going to join us about 8:35. So we're going to join us any minute now here on the program. Coach of the 10-1 Hurricanes. Sarni's been telling me, man, you got to start watching these kids. And, sure enough, they're getting attention now and ranked in the top 25. I know when I was in Atlantic City and I was reading any kind of preview of area basketball players, of course, they outlined this in a pretty good detail in the New York Post, which is one of the reasons I enjoy getting that paper because, they touch into areas that we don't see too much coverage on. And they love Isaiah Wong. coming out of the New Jersey area there. They're absolutely infatuated with this guy and have him ranked as one of the best guys, if not the best, to come out of the state that's playing college basketball today. And Lubie, are we set with the coach?
Hello?
Sort of, yeah. Coach Larranaga, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the show again.
Well, it's always my pleasure to talk with you guys.
Good morning.
Well,
sir.
yeah, it's great, and I don't want to say that we were bandwagon jumpers, but we did wait once again until you were like in the NCAA final to call. But 10-1, wow! I mean, tell us about this start with your team and some of the reasons for the great success you're having. And it seems like you're in a lot of thrill-in Manila type of games, including that game with Colgate, which went 107-105.
you mean
Just
Cornell.
a phenomenal game. Cornell, yeah.
Cornell.
I'm thinking of Syracuse beating up on Colgate when they needed a win when Jimmy B was playing a soft schedule there before you get started in the Big East in those years. But anyway, how did this all come about? Tell us about what's happened and what the experience has been like so far.
Okay, well, first of all, it begins with recruiting. You have to have good players. And we were able to bring in 4 very good freshmen and 2 transfers. And those 6 guys have combined with our 6 returning players, half our team. And it's worked out very, very well. We have very good on the court and off the court chemistry. The guys are working very, very hard. And I'm really enjoying them because their personalities are such you always want to be around the players. No shadow mirror is how the players describe him. He's a monster. He's 6'7", 245 pounds of dynamite. And he is the happiest, smiliest, friendliest kid you ever wanted to be around. Our students have just fallen in love with his personality and his on-the-court performance. So that's been great. Nigel Pack, another transfer, has come in and partnered with Isaiah Wong in the backcourt, and they've been terrific together. They really enjoyed playing with each other, and it's been very fun seeing them develop together. And then Jordan Miller has emerged as an incredible all-conference caliber player, Mr. Do-Everything with his ability to guard 5 positions, 1 through 5, and offensively score at a very high rate. So we've got a good team. We've played a lot of close games. We've been successful in most of those. Our only loss was to Maryland, who was very, very good. And we've had some quality wins against Rutgers and Central Florida, who's very, very good. And the other day, we won our second conference game against NC State.
That was great, too. And, anytime I think of NC State, I always see Jimmy Valvano, which, of course, he was featured at ESPN, dedicating a lot of time to his Cancer Research Foundation, which has done phenomenal things. Dick Vitale always moves me whenever he's saying anything, pretty much, especially since he sort of helped put college basketball on the map and out there in the forefront with his enthusiasm for the game. But, I couldn't help but think of Valvano, and I know you did you have experiences with Jimmy V? I would imagine so.
I sure did.
As a player against him and a coach?
No, we never played against Jimmy. He's a few years ahead of me. But as a coach, when I was an assistant coach, he was the head coach at NC State. But whenever anybody asks me about Jimmy Valvano, I always tell the story about when he came to my house in Bowling Green, Ohio, after doing a Washington Speakers Bureau speech to the Italian American Hall of Fame dinner in Toledo. I went to the dinner, listened to him. I laughed the whole time. He's hysterically funny. He came to my house. He sat up, smoking a cigar, drinking some wine, and telling stories to my 2 boys who were very young at the time. And he had them laughing hysterically till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I drove him back to his hotel, and then he flew back to Raleigh, North Carolina, where he was coaching at the time. And just a great guy, and so sad we lost him. He was only 47 years old when he passed. He accomplished an awful lot in his lifetime, and in his memory, we're accomplishing an awful lot in our fight against cancer.
No doubt about it, and always well put. And anytime we ask you about any of the icons of the game, Jim Larranaga, our guest here on the Defo show here on South Florida Live. All right, I remember speaking with you when all of this stuff started with transfer portals and things like that, and name, image, and likeness. And I thought I sensed some concern. That you didn't necessarily know, or nobody did, if this was going to be total chaos, or how it was going to impact things. And, I think, in your coaching roots with the teams that you've been with previously, you probably had guys that stuck around for a while and weren't going through so much transition from year to year. So how have you been able to adjust to this? I mean, it's kind of like when Shula saw Marino throw his first pass at practice back in 1983 and said, I think I'm going to stop running the ball. I mean, how have you been able to transition to this? Because it really, as you said, has worked out almost in perfect symmetry. And I thought I remember you being a little bit concerned about what the future of the game was going to be like.
Well, you're talking about two different things. One, my transition during this period has been the same it's been throughout my career. Tell me what the rules are, and we'll adapt our style. We'll
Nice.
always have the same culture where we believe our players and anybody associated with our program should have a positive attitude, make a total commitment to being the best that they can be, and always behave in a first-class manner, be a role model in our community. But the state of college basketball has changed. And now, for example, if any college coach was asked who you're going to have coming back next year, nobody knows, because you have no idea what guys could go to the pros, but now they can just transfer and go to another school and play right away. And in our preparation for our opponents, I'm looking at their rosters and I'm seeing 3-4 guys who transferred in, and 2 or 3 of them are starting. And I don't even know who they are or where they came from. We have to look up on them. So this guy, we just played NC State. 3 of their starters are terrific players who transferred from other schools. Some of them transferred from more than one school. They went to, I think one young man went to Mississippi and then Winthrop, and then NC State was his third stop. Jeez. And I just think that's the norm now, and you just have to adjust to it.
Coach, one thing I've appreciated about Coach throughout the years is when it comes to telling a player to go to, say, I guess, whether it's when it used to be the draft, Coach were very honest. You would say, look, you're going to be a top 15 pick. That's the kind of money no one can turn down. You should go. However, you need some seasoning. You should stay. When it comes to the transfer portal, I've heard a lot of coaches doing this same kind of a thing. I'm curious, how open are the players to listening? Because it feels like we're getting a lot of kids going into the transfer portal. They really have no idea where they're going. And a lot of them have nowhere to go in the end. So you're really spurning a scholarship, where I'm all about the transfer portal being wide open. The problem is it feels like it's hurting a lot of kids, and a lot of kids are getting bad advice. How open are the kids to your advice when it comes to go or stay?
Oh, they are definitely listening, but just not to the coach.
Exactly.
Not to the coach.
Exactly.
They're listening. They're listening to the parents. They're listening to the agent. All these kids now have agents.
Yep.
Those AAU coaches are becoming agents, and the transfer portal has opened up business opportunities for people. I mean, just look at what's happened with colleges around the country. We now have people who've been hired by our athletic department to be totally in charge of NIL education. That's a whole new area. We have now people who have websites based on the transfer portal, ranking them. And these people are making money off of that. So it's a big business. Players, and here's a good example of what you're talking about. 1,700 players entered the portal last year, but over 300 did not get scholarships.
Wow.
So they gave up a scholarship and didn't get an offer. So it's a double-edged sword. It's great for the kids who transfer and get to play more and play well and be involved in a different program and have some more success. But it's also very dangerous for someone to enter the portal not knowing if he's even ever going to get an offer.
One thing too, it has to be a radical difference. I remember a couple of lifetimes ago when I was calling basketball games for a few years. They were in the Big East, and you would see an opponent a couple of times a year, and you knew all of their tendencies. You knew their players. Georgetown was Georgetown. Cuse was going to be in the 2-3. And you could. I mean, I could have at least come up with some of the preparations for how to attack a team and how to play against them. How has that changed in terms of coaching preparation? Because as you said, I mean, all of a sudden you have a team that you saw last year, and they look absolutely nothing like they did the year before. And can you maintain a certain type of style, in terms of your own coaching style, and try to find players that fit that, or do you just have to adapt and change on the fly as the talent dictates?
Yeah, Defo, that's exactly right. And we've had to adapt regularly throughout my career because in our recruitment, we haven't always been able to get the same kind of guy. Like right now, we're very short. Last year, we played small ball. This year, we're playing smaller ball. But that's basically what you have to do. Coaches are constantly making the adjustment. And I'm going to make a big adjustment right now. I'm at the doctor's. I have an eye exam at 8:30, and I'm already 1 minute late.
Well,
all right, we'll let you go to it.
Guys, I apologize.
No problem, Coach. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you again. And thanks so much for doing this. Always appreciate it. Jim Larranaga. All right, he went right in.
I like that the thing happened. He changed the schedule, and he still kept his appointment with us. And I appreciate
Guy's in a doctor's office doing this great interview.
I didn't know that. He texted me at 8:15. Can you come on now? I'm like,
I was going to throw Gurggles' thing at him. I really was. I was going to ask him about, was it the Eastern Basketball Association or the Eastern Basketball League? I remember, I was such a diehard sports fan. I followed all of this stuff, to a certain degree. And you were able to get this kind of information, even predating. I would imagine it'd be so much easier now. But do we have that kind of, cultural stuff? Where you have like, sort of a minor league basketball system, and it's regional and it isn't half bad. And you're playing in some of these places like the Comac Arena where the ABA was playing in East Comac, Long Island. And my buddies and I, we love going to those games. I tell you, remember that was the funniest thing, I think, or among the many funny things and surprising things when you talk about guys like Larranaga with total recall of everything they did in their career, or Ronnie Rothstein, and that was May 27th, and the guy had 17. There were 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the third quarter. You're like, how the fuck do you remember that? I don't even remember how I hurt my toe.
That's my favorite.
Right? And there should be a visual attached with that of me splattering all over these slippery rocks. I should have bet Slippery Rock that night if they were playing in anything. But anyway, we're interviewing Rick Barry, who can be a bit of a dick. I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon for Rick Barry to just look you in the eye and say, you know what, this interview sucks. I'm not going to do it anymore. You don't have any good questions. You're just going to sit there and mumble and bumble and fumble and stumble. So I do remember him coming to the East Comac Arena with the Oakland Oaks of the ABA. And I think I said, you were there, Lubie, and I said, Rick, remember that night you scored like 56, thinking there's no way, that he's going to remember a thing about it. He'd look at me like I'm a schmuck. But I was at the game, and it was part of a doubleheader, and the doctor was with the Long Island Nets at the time. And, he was, I don't know if he was playing against Oakland or was in the other game, but there was Rick Barry. And we said, oh, yeah, you went for 56. He said, it was 58.
Yes. No, but it was the best thing you could do. It was San Francisco. We were there, and it was like 5 a.m. their time because it was like 8 our time.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Rick Barry was willing to do an interview at like 5:45 a.m. And we were freaking out because I remember the only time you had ever dealt with him was in a business thing where he
had a very negative experience with Rick Barry. Yeah.
And he was a jerk. And it was like, oh, this is going to be bad. Rick Barry at 6 a.m.
I had spoken to him after that on the radio a few times, but I had never seen him in person since the time that he had he was promoting these basketball courts that you could install like in your backyard. And this was a relatively new innovation. And I mean, it's obviously been, expanded and improved upon because you have a lot of different people that will make certain surfaces, where they, on the dirt, concrete, whatever, they can put in a nice basketball court in your backyard. So they were having a 3-on-3 tournament, which I think I played in on one of the teams, and we got buried in the opening game. So now I'm doing the TV coverage also. And so first, they're covering our team, and then Rick Barry was like the promoter of the product, the courts. He was being paid like $50,000 to show up there, and we're doing a stroke job infomercial on this stuff while covering this tournament, and he was a dick to talk to. He just was. Like he was as unpleasant as anybody, as has been alluded to many times. Anybody that's covered Rick Barry or seen him, or it could go either way. But that day he was fantastic, yeah, because we brought up this thing with Oakland.
You brought up jokingly, thinking he'd make fun of you, and maybe that's where it would go. It was the opposite. Yeah. He remembers, like, actually at 58, I hit 9 threes, and Joe Johns couldn't hold me.
Yeah.
And you do some mob reference because you're like, yeah, we thought maybe they had some money on you or something because you were killing it. And he like cracked a joke, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Holy shit, yeah. Sometimes the style works, as Jim Larranaga was pointing out. How about the guy's going to have like an eye operation, and he's doing our show?
I think
that's pretty impressive, man. All right. I love Larranaga. I really do. And he would have been great if we could have got him going on an East Coast Basketball League. Or just like with Rick Barry, talking about the old days of the ABA. I didn't think Barry took as much pride in those ABA playing days as he exhibited.
His face lit up.
When he was talking about. But I remember, my buddies and I went there. We were thinking, wow, it's pro basketball. And it wasn't respected at that time. Even though they had sensational scoring players. And they had Connie Hawkins in the ABA. And, of course, Rick Barry. And think about that. And the doctor developed that flamboyant style while he was in the ABA.
George Gervin. Those were the
George
three
Gervin,
guys
the Iceman. Yeah.
Catapult.
Artis Gilmore was another great player.
There was other Hall of Famers.
Yeah. So they had plenty of talent in there, and it wasn't enough. I mean, eventually they brought the NBA to the point where they absorbed like 4 teams. Told the rest of the guys to go fuck themselves, except for those guys in St. Louis who made out like champs. The greatest sports business deal ever made, where the brothers that owned the St. Louis, whatever they were, Spirit of St. Louis, was that the name of the team?
I think so.
And they took a piece of all future television revenues, which were zero at the time. I mean, you talk about rolling the dice. They were in the red. They were paying to be on TV, the NBA. Mm-hmm. That wasn't that long ago, Lubie, because I was alive. Although that's a long time ago. All right. You know what? I could have saved myself a lot of money and maybe a lot of time. And Bahamas Air, you know what their slogan is? If you have time to spare, take Bahamas Air.
Okay.
They don't even care about being like an hour late. Like, it's not even Spirit Airlines where you have like the aggravated people up there at the desk frantically going around changing the time. They don't even give a shit, right? The plane's not even there yet. And it's like 4:30. We're supposed to take off at 4, and they still have big letters on time because they're on island time.
You're already late.
They have to put in parentheses island on island time. They don't give a flying one, man. I mean, there's no regard for time, whatsoever with Bahamas Air.
They still have on time, even though 45 minutes late.
There's no plane in the hangar, nothing, man. Nothing at the gate.
Oh my God, that's great.
And then it does arrive, sometimes airlines, they hustle, they turn the thing around pretty quickly, and you're like amazed, going, wow, that's a pretty good job there. Did you make sure you have enough gas to get to Cleveland?
Exactly.
They pull in they're already an hour late. Man, we'll take another hour. Why don't you guys go to the bar and have a Bahama Mama? A couple of maraschino cherries thrown in there right on the top there with some foam and some whipped cream. They don't care. If you have time to spare, fly Bahamas Air. I believe that is their marketing slogan, Lubie.
If you have time to spare, fly Bahamas Air.
JetBlue's in and out, no problem. The guys that took the 5:30 flight, we were supposed to leave at 4.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of other people that took a JetBlue flight, 5:35, back to Fort Lauderdale, and they were there before us.
Oh, Jesus.
They were waiting there at the carousel. Hey, this your bag? I walked through the airport. I should have gone wheelchair assistance, Lubie.
I know your pride. For you after the last trip when you're like,
I could never do it. I don't care if I had no legs. I would get a dolly and wheel myself. No, I would. Before I'd get wheelchair assist, I could never do it. Can I?
At least on one of these quote unquote junkins.
It'd be like me turning around and being a big soccer fan by the next World Cup.
100%, which you will. We're gonna
Total phony. Yeah. If I make it to the next World Cup, I don't know that you can count on 4-year blocks anymore. I really don't. Not at 71. All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill would have saved me a lot of aggravation with Bahamas Air.
Not hurting your toe and
you wouldn't have to worry about like a cement wall being hidden underneath the waterway there, which you couldn't see unless you had already tripped over it. And even then, you're thinking, "What's this? Is it a great white shark? What the hell has got my foot?" It's unbelievable. You know how sometimes you kick a door by accident, or you're going up the stairs and it hits.
Yep.
Kind of like, when a ball goes off your thumb.
Yes.
You're every now and then you're catching a football or even a basketball, guy fires one at you and it hits you in the thumb. You're like, fuck.
Yep.
It's one of those, man. One of those. I could have saved myself that aggravation by going to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Could have been in the pool with a cocktail and, gone out into the bay there and had a great time and eaten great food and had a lot of, good libations. And it wouldn't have been $18 a whack either for like a Tito's and soda.
Oh, that's crazy.
Then they go measured shot. That's embarrassing.
I hate it so much.
I don't know. What is the standard brand of alcohol in the Bahamas? Do we know? I mean, it's like all weird looking bottles, isn't it? Like stuff that looks like, remember the barbicide they had at the barbershops? And they used to keep, you're too young to remember when they put the comb in this stuff.
Yep.
It was kind of like the pig's feet we talk about from time to time, and that red stuff. They put the comb in this blue stuff, and supposedly that got rid of cooties. Fucking cooties.
Would use the word cooties.
Cooties, right? Wigworm. That was always a big concern when I was a kid. Well, we used to put wax in our hair. Wax, literally, like bitch wax.
Wax? Oh, Jesus.
Wax. Like we were going to surf off of our heads. Crazy shit. And it would accumulate in the comb, so they had to stick them in this stuff to sanitize them, and then they would use them again. What was it, too, about getting a shave at a barbershop?
I don't know. I've done it one time where they used a real razor, and I was scared to move the entire time. I was like, if I move, this guy's slitting my aorta.
Yeah. I mean, and these barbers at the track that had the shakes, man. I mean, maybe early stages of Parkinson's. I mean, you don't necessarily, no insult meant to be, but I mean, you don't want one of these guys being your cut man.
No.
Oh my God. One bad move, and they had these razors that were very much like the machetes these Bahamians were cutting the conch with. And how good do you have to be with a machete or whatever that thing is, that kind of knife that they use to cut conch? Because conch is, it's not exactly tender.
Oh, no.
Love me tender. I mean, it's tough, man. Even if it's fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, it's conch.
Right. You feel like Mo Howard when you're eating this shit.
Oh my God.
But the guy's got the conch in his hand, and he's chopping it. And then feeding it to these sea turtles. Yeah.
God, I never saw that. Oh, Jesus.
In his hand. Like he's ready to just chop it off there. It's like holy Toulouse-Lautrec. What the fuck? Was it Lautrec that cut his ear off? Who was the guy?
I don't know.
I think it was Lautrec. Anyway, what does this have to do with Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill? Nothing.
Because you're not going to have any of this when you go down on Jimmy Johnson's.
Oh, man. I mean, they might have some fresh conch, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, but
I will say this. In Nassau, I mean, I'm going to have to try to conch fritters at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill next time I'm down there, because if they compare favorably, I know Alabama Jack's is famous for that, but I would imagine Don Kajemi has that thing beat, and I would think it would be closer to what I had there in Nassau, which was absolutely amazing. At this place, oddly called Goldie's, not owned at all by Steve Goldie Goldstein. unless all of a sudden he's inherited some Bahamian blood, because it was very authentic and absolutely fantastic. You get great food and drink at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Sit out there by the pool, watch all the games at the Tiki Bar, or go inside, get some fine dining as well. You want romance, they have that. You want music, you want relaxation, they have that. You want water sports, they have that. And the greatest libations and culinary offerings that you could possibly find anywhere in one place at the Keys. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's mile marker 104 on the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. Check it out for yourself and have yourself a nice mini staycation right here in Florida. What could be better than a couple of days at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill in Key Largo? All right, we'll come back with more. Lots of things to talk about here in the show. We have another big weekend of pro football coming up.
Yes.
Dolphins flexed out to what? Are they a Saturday night game?
Saturday night football.
Okay.
Yes.
I like that. I do, because I'm not inclined to go out on the town as much. I mean, maybe
Now.
since at this point. Oh, no, with the toe, I don't even know if I'm very debatable. I got to make it down to Grandpa's there for the lunchbox show, because I need to pick up 2 potato knishes to bring back. I promised my friend Big Jack that I was going to bring him a potato knish, and I would imagine that they qualify as being kosher, no?
Yes.
Grandpa's?
Yeah. No, it's a kosher. Yeah, for
A
sure.
couple of Jewish fellows from New York, man, they're not putting out like.
I don't know if all their food's kosher, but they have kosher food. Like, people who are kosher will go there, for sure.
Yeah, you see the real deal guys there. I mean, they got the whole, get up going, and I have total respect for that. But I'm thinking, what does a rabbi have to do to make a potato knish kosher?
I think
Kosher.
Yeah,
Does he do it brisk? What does he do? I don't know. What the heck?
It's just kosher. As long
Pour
as
some
you don't use the
manischewitz in
same
there. I'll have
spoon
to ask
as-
Mayo that. How do you make a knish kosher? Or is a knish by its very nature a kosher dish?
It is.
What
As
do you
long
think?
as you don't have any of the utensils touch meat, there's nothing that makes it not kosher.
Oh, okay. All right. So I can bring these to Big Jack here, because we're going to, start this whole big project now later on today. All right. So I have to make it down there. I'm not sure what the status is of the toe. Right now, it doesn't feel too bad, but that's subject to change, as evidenced yesterday. I couldn't do it, though, Louis. I mean, what if somebody saw you? Wheelchair assistance.
After all the shit you talk.
After all the smack, the shit that I talked about. Somebody legitimately needs wheelchair assistance. I'm all in. I mean, look, I'm as sympathetic, empathetic to anybody. I appreciate the fact that they're actually out there doing something.
I was going to say,
right? As difficult as it may be, they're not just packing it in. They're saying, hey, I want to live my life, however I have to. And
Exactly.
I'll make the adjustments like Jim Larranaga was talking about. You adjust to whatever it is that's going on at the time. It's, publish or perish, right? You're either going to get on board or, you're going to be out of luck, right?
Yep.
Out of touch. So, yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. But I couldn't imagine if, somebody that watches the show sees me being wheeled through there and, then sees me get up and walk to my car.
exactly.
Although I was with a pronounced limp and very concerned somebody was going to mow over my toe with flip-flops on with their suitcase, because everybody's in a big rush.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody's hustling, right? Lady with high heels. I mean, one spike on that thing, I would have gone right through the ceiling. You would have seen a space launch. All right, we'll come back with more. Mike Mayo at Grandpa's later on today,
Yes.
and I'm making every effort to get down there, Louie, because I really need to. And we'll be there at 12 o'clock. We'll come back. A couple of other things to discuss here that we didn't hit on earlier. And thanks to Jim Larranaga for joining us under really unusual circumstances, and of course Dave Gurggles Gergely, who I think is always operating from unusual circumstances. And we'll come back with more in a moment. Now that
The time.
it's 8:48. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play. When you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show. A few minutes to go here on the Defo Show. 12 o'clock, we come back with Mike Mayo from Grandpa's in Dania. And that's always a great place, man. I mean, you know what I need? I have had the weirdest, semblance of a cold. Nothing too severe, but it's been lingering and taking different formats. That was the weird thing. Like, it used to get, like, knocked on your ass by a Florida flu or cold. I don't know. I haven't had that experience in a long, long time. Actually, since COVID, I hadn't been sick for a day. And I really wouldn't consider myself, like, sick today. Sick in the head, maybe, but, certainly not physically ill, although I've had this little thing kind of, like, lingering there for almost 2 weeks now. Crazy. It was a little tickle in the throat. Then it was a little sinus thing. Then it was this. Then it was that. But never too severe. As I made it through this, a couple of times I choked up there, but it's a kind of weird thing, but remember when the cold and the flu would just overwhelm you like COVID? I mean, did many people. Unfortunately, had what, million people check out over this kind of thing.
Yep.
But it used to get like close to that. It seemed like almost COVID-esque from some South Florida flu bug. And if you got it, man, everybody got it, and it was just Dr. Fauci time, man. Help me, please. What the hell can I do? So I'm thinking the matzo ball soup at Grandpa's.
Yes.
Might be another thing. Now I've already, ordered about $20 worth of food here in my mind. What a schnorrer. You think when we leave these places, they go, what a bunch of schnorrers.
What's weird is I think they should.
Yeah.
I always look back as we're leaving. They're always like, oh my God, that was so amazing. What a great time. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mayo is almost like he's a collector for the mob, when he goes in there. He goes, okay, we'll have this, we'll have that, we'll have this, we'll have that, we'll have that. You throw in a couple of those, and you know what? Wrap up 2 of those for Defo, and make sure you bring a box so Lubie can take the rest of this pizza home.
It is like when you watch the shows and the Godfather like walks in
Yeah,
and he just points, and he really doesn't even speak, and they
Yeah.
just go and they rush to get it. Like, because I'm always like, they're like, what do you want? I'm like, Mayo's like, well, we'll have. He's so confident about it that they just scurry and get him whatever the hell he wants. I don't know.
They Henry Hill him too. They put a table down right in the front. There was no table previously. This guy's got some pull, man, with the restaurants, man.
So funny.
Say a few nice things about a restaurant, in front of like 94,000 people. This guy's got a huge audience, Mayo. It's phenomenal.
Because then he sits down and eats, and you and I have a very different impression.
Yeah,
of Mike Mayo.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He does eat like Conan the Barbarian, man. He does.
Like that woman.
It's not like I am the epitome of etiquette, but
No, but we try when we're there.
you are like Emily Post material
I
compared to
try. I feel so bad. Mail,
speaking
like,
mail.
it's like here.
I did want to mention the passing of Mike Leach. I always liked Mike
Yes,
Leach
you
because he
missed
was
it.
strange.
Yeah.
Reminded me of that Doors song, "People are strange when you're a stranger." And he was a spaced out cat that went against the grain and had a lot of success and seemed to be a decent guy underneath it all. No?
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of years, he was supporting someone I'm not a fan of politically, but other than that, I mean, he's always been against the grain, dude. So we've always been big fans of his. I think we talked with him, and he wanted to talk Pirates the whole fucking time instead of actually talking football. But he's always been a different dude, and we always respect. I always appreciated that.
Innovative. I mean, when it came to coaching, he was doing things that other people looked at and thought, "Wow, this guy's out of his mind," and they worked. And he had a lot of success with lesser talent than so many other coaches get to work with, taking nothing away from your man, Nicky Saban. I mean, he's great, but you can't deny that the guy must know what he's doing. But Leach, with less stuff, was throwing like spitballs against the wall there, and having them stick.
Yes,
it was great. So passed away. Very, very. I didn't think he was that young, right? 61 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a young guy, and it was not a pre-existing condition from what we know. It was just a massive heart attack out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it sucks. Sad.
Yeah, you don't want to be rolling a 7, man. And that guy. I mean, I don't know that it's more comforting to know that he wasn't killed by angry Middle Easterners, but that guy Grant Wall, and he excuse me, he came into prominence right there because of all of the stuff that happened. All right, got to run before I choke to death.
We'll see you at 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox right here.
And Brandon Lane coming up on our podcast on Believe Podcast Network. So stick with us, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good to be back. See you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 8:56.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.